lovely settling breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Just be mindful that you're looking off at the horizon there, folks, okay? So you're, even with your eyes closed, you're conscious that you've not dropped that gaze towards the floor. That's it, good, well done. And you're breathing in through the nose and trying to imagine where you're sending this breath. You're sending it into this lovely lung space, this thoracic cavity around the ribs. As you breathe in, imagine these lungs inflating like balloons, gently pressing out onto the ribs to your sides, okay? So you're feeling that sense of expansion in this upper body. Okay, and at the same time, not only are you expanding in the rib area, but think of also the bony mass of your spine as you breathe in, allowing it to just stretch, have a lovely morning stretch towards the ceiling as you inhale. Almost imagining yourself with your breath in, allowing yourself to grow by 1 millimeter or 2 taller. And then as you exhale, of course, we're going to think about the muscle engagement, all righty? So as the air leaves the body, start to think about drawing in down around this midsection. Lateral thoracic breathing. You've got your transverse abdominis muscles at the side, okay? Working up and down. You've got the crisscross of your obliques. And a plethora of muscles around the spine area, coming into the pelvis. As you draw that breath out or leave or send that breath out the body, they're all drawing in around your mid-center point around the spine. Adding in, of course, the pelvic floor. Fundamentally part of this Pilates powerhouse. As you exhale, draw up the areas around wind and water. So go ahead and try and find an equal pressure front and back passages, okay? Drawing them up underneath you for the whole of the exhale. And think, if you can, as that energy comes up underneath the pelvis, you're also thinking of the exhale, drawing the rib cage down. We revisit this all the time, the rib cage to pelvis connection. All righty, Jess, especially when you're using arm work, of course, when the arms elevate, the temptation is to go into some back extension. Keep talking with the exhale to remind yourself of those lovely floating little base ribs pulling down, light little buckles connecting them towards the top of your pelvis and hip bones here. One more breath in, bring it all in together, find the space in the skeleton. And exhale, drawing in through that Pilates powerhouse into your center, and gently opening your eyes and bring yourselves back into your space. Okay, so popping your hands onto the top of your thighs, fingertips heading towards those knee joints. We're going to gently draw the knees down towards your toes. And just check for me that you haven't then widened the knees out or knocked the knees together. Okay, you're trying to find that alignment. Okay. So from here, think about a little button pressing into your belly space. Okay, you're pushing into the belly space. And as you do so, feel perhaps a little bit of an opening of that lumbar spine. Okay, so you've gone from perhaps being a natural S shape to drawing in the belly and maybe pushing that spine back towards the room behind you. Tuck your chin into your throat space, and we're going to do our first roll down here, folks. Slide the fingertips towards your kneecaps only, and I want your focus to really be on that belly button area. Okay, keep thinking when my fingers have got to my knees, I'm still really pulling in at that belly. Chins into your throat space, and then as you come back up, just straighten the legs into standing and your fingertips rest at the top of your thighs. Do that again, bending the knees, making sure you're in alignment, tummy really pulling in, chin into your throat space, feel that curve in the spine, sliding the fingertips towards your kneecaps, keep pulling in around the belly. Let's get into that lumbar spine, and then grow up, 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 restart the spine and straighten up those legs. Go ahead and pop the hands behind the back of the head. Okay, so there's a little bit of a tiny connection on the back of the head. So feel a little tiny press of your skull into your fingers. And then gently at the same time, drop your chin into your throat space. And maybe that little tiny press and the reciprocal press from your hands will help you get a bit more of a stretch into your neck. Now go ahead and bend those knees one more time and draw your elbows towards the front of you so you can see them, and they're almost in parallel to the side of you there. We're going to now roll down again. So bring that belly into your spine, find that space, rolling down now, tuck your chin into your throat space, maybe a little bit more energy now with the hands on the back of the head, a little bit more focus on that neck spine. Your elbows are going to head towards your kneecaps.
And you're creating a little ball shape here. Then you're going to unfurl that spine, rolling back up, chin still into your throat space until the last minute, and then open the elbows out to your sides, to your left and right, and stand up tall. Second time, knee fold, elbows coming forwards, gently pull your chin into your throat space and start that roll down. Like you're rolling up your exercise mat, you're rolling it, rolling it, rolling it, rolling it down with the elbows to the knees. And then remember the restack, tummy in, peel back up into standing straight in the legs, elbows by your sides. Pausing here, we're going to continue now by lifting our gaze. The chin comes away from the throat space and we're coming into a gentle back extension. Okay, so you'll feel yourself slightly arching over towards the back. Looking out again towards the horizon. Let's do this into a flow motion. Bend the knees, elbows forward, chin to throat space, tummy in, roll down. And we're going to just continue straight into the roll up. As you come back up, belly in, chin still into your throat space, straighten the legs, elbows to the side. The gaze continues up towards the ceiling, up and over into a gentle back extension. Shoulder blades back and down, open that chest. And then into our standing position, hands by your sides. Okay, so mobilizing a little bit more deeply into the shoulders here now, popping the fingertips onto your hands. Sorry, your fingertips onto your shoulders. Your hands are there already. And we're going to take ourselves into elbow circles. So gently elbow circles to the side. Okay, nice and slow. Okay, don't rush this because I want you to really dig deep into this shoulder girdle area. All right, so it's not just this ball and socket joint here of the shoulder, but you're thinking right underneath the shoulder blades, these gorgeous wings we have out the back there, just scooping around. And be mindful that you feel like as your elbows head back, you're opening out this chest. As the elbows head forward, you're trying to separate those shoulder blades, get really in the nitty gritty of the shoulder joint. Reverse direction when you're ready, scooping around. Okay, feeling the whole of the movement in this arm area, shoulder area. And then gently pausing and pop your hands down by your sides. Okay, so I'm going to turn around so you can see what I'm doing here. I'd like you to interlace your hands behind you. And then I'd like you to lift your hands to as far up your back as you can get that's comfortable. But just check once they're there that your shoulders are relaxed down. Okay, so you've not lifted them up by elevating the shoulders. Okay, so pull down the shoulders. And can you gently press your knuckles now in towards your rib cage area? So there's a bit of a connection and you're turning on the arms as well at this point. So the move here is simply going to be, as you send your hands down towards the floor, rotate the knuckles towards your feet or heels, and really open out the chest by pulling the shoulder blades back and down and your shoulder and humerus joint towards the room behind you. Lift the arms back into your start position, press the knuckles in, shoulders down, breathe in, exhale, send down those arms towards the floor, and create almost a little cradle or hammock with those hands, breathing in. So this is about rolling back the shoulders, opening out the chest and growing through the spine as the hands go to the floor. If you feel comfortable, we're going to add on a double heel raise as the hands go down towards your feet, the legs come and into a heel raise. And then as you release the hands up towards the rib cage, settle the heels to the floor. Breathe in, exhale. With your heel raise, try and find all those toes. Okay, sounds a bit daft and weird, but try and think about pressing as well onto the big toe. Sometimes we can just open out for security onto the little toes because that way we sneakily use a bit more for a ball of the foot. Okay, so one more time, lift onto all 5 toes on each foot and then release down with control as much as you can onto your heels. Well done. Okay, so the arms can just slide down into a comfortable position behind you there and go ahead and widen those legs. So your toes are faced out towards the corners of the mat. Alrighty, so we're just going to go a little bit more deeply, combining all this together with a roll down. So anytime you want to, you can bend the knees if you feel a bit uncomfortable or it's a little bit niggly on the inside of your inner thighs or knee joints. Think of the roll down though, like we did to begin with. Let's think of the curling, the real tight little ball curling. Take your chin to your throat space. And we're going to go ahead and roll down now towards the floor. Peel down and find that belly space. Okay, it's kind of easy to hinge here. I want you to think about the roll down. As you come down, we're going to lift the arms up towards the ceiling. Okay, so the arms are elevating as much as you feel like you can. Alrighty, and then as you come back down, belly in, find that belly space, pressing into the soles of the feet, peel yourself back up, the hands come down to settle by your bottom and looking out towards the horizon. Modify accordingly. Can you go a bit deeper perhaps? You feel more comfortable the second time, legs wider, up to you. And down we go, chin to chest, belly in, find that space. Okay, with the legs a little bit out of the way, we might be able to get ourselves a little bit lower this time. Any sense of dizziness, please just pop your hands on the floor, bend your knees and peel yourself back up safely. When you're ready, reset the spine and gently draw yourself back up into standing. And then we're going to just soften the knees and toe heel, walk those legs back in. All right, into your parallel standing position, hands down by your sides. Okay, from parallel, just bring your heels together and find that zip of your inner thighs. Okay, literally zip up all the way through to the lower part of your pelvis there. Hands now are by your sides, elbows are by your sides, lift your hands to a forward position, palms up. Now imagine the energies have come in towards your sides, okay? So they're squashing these upper arms into your torso or rib cage. Your legs are being squashed either side as well. And the only thing that you can move is your forearms. So your two thumbs, left and right, are going to now open out towards the side of you, okay? So they're heading out towards the end of your mat and then back into the center. So it's easy work, but take a breath, grow tall, and exhale. And as you exhale with the thumbs heading either side, pull those inner thighs and legs together, pull those elbows in by your rib cage with a nice big engagement of your core and floors as well. Breathe in, exhale. So let's see if we can get everything pulling into the midline. Okay, so it's not just about the tummy to spine. Imagine yourself shrinking away from all your clothing items, drawing into the middle, pulling yourself into your skeletal mass. And two more. Breathe in, grow tall. And the final one, gorgeous. Breathe in, extra squeeze of those inner thighs, extra pull of those elbows in, and then gently release the hands by your sides. Feet back in parallel. And go ahead and find our goal post arms, all righty. So trying to have these elbows at least starting off at shoulder height if they can, all right? But if there's any discomfort here, you're more than welcome to lower them slightly if you've got any shoulder issues at all. Now you're trying to remember that this collarbone here stays open, all right? Even when the elbows are pulling forward, you're trying not to collapse and pull the shoulders forward by curving across the shoulder blades left and right. It's a pull in of the humerus bone towards the front of you. So when you're ready, you're going to draw your elbows in front of you like you're closing a book, and your palms are coming palm to palm if you can, elbows as close as possible, okay? Out with a breath in. And again, think of that core and pelvic floor, okay? Another chance to revisit the core and pelvic floor this first week. Breathe in, exhale. As your tummy comes in, pelvic floor area is strong. Breathe in, find the height in the spine. Exhale, keep that lovely height in the spine as you squeeze. Last one, and hold the arms in front of you this time, please. Hold, hold, hold. Okay, so we're going to now elevate our fingertips up here towards the ceiling with a small pulse. When you breathe in, you exhale and pulse the fingers to the sky with a small press. It might be maybe 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 centimeters tops as you lift and lower with an exhale. The key here is to remember as you're lifting your fingertips, think about those lower front ribs pulling down, because it's very tempting to lift the fingers by arcing into back extension. So talk to those ribs to pull down as you lift for 4, for 3, last 2, well done guys, last 1. And release the arms by your side. Give them a little roll off if they're feeling like they've had a little bit of a work there. Okay, we're going to take ourselves towards the end of your mat. So go ahead and step away towards the end of the mat, and we're going to do a straight leg roll down. So feet are in parallel, finding the height just as we did before, taking your chin into your throat space. Find the belly pull in towards that lower lumbar spine, and then rolling down towards the mat. When you've got to your maximum range, if you need to bend your knees so that your hands can make it to the mat, go ahead and then walk the hands forwards. We're going into a V stretch.
or a downward dog. Okay, so just gently letting your head settle between the elbows. And once you're into your comfortable position, lift your heels so you're right onto the balls of those feet. Okay, maybe have a little wiggle around, have a little massage at the back of those toes. They're getting a gorgeous stretch here. And I want you to think about your shoulder blades pulling back and down. And if you can, the cherry icing on the cake, if you like, is to push your pubic bone away from your nose. So you're almost tilting that pelvis away from you to get a nice deep stretch here. We're now all going to let our knees float down towards the mat with control, gently, gently down, down, down. The knees head to the mat. And we're going to bring ourselves into 4-point kneeling, softening the feet so your toenails are down on the mat and just drawing your hands so they're underneath your shoulder joint there, please, for me. Okay, heading down a little bit of the mobilization work we're doing into the lower spine. I'd like you to take your thoughts towards your right elbow, and you're just going to allow your right elbow to head down towards the mat, and it's going to just dot onto the mat, kind of halfway between the heel of your hand and the knee on the right there. Okay, so you'll feel that twist through the spine, I hope. You're more than welcome to look over towards the left side or the opposite side. So when your left elbow heads down, you can look over your right shoulder if that feels comfortable, if you aren't doing that already. Oh, which you all are, which is perfect. Breathing in and exhale, just dotting the elbow down. And just stop and pause and feel the stretch around the base of the spine. Okay, there's no rush here. Yeah, feel you've got to your end of range. When the elbow comes down, just feel and embrace that slight twist through the base of the spine. A bit of a stretch on the left and the right side of the spine there. Often an area where we carry quite a lot of tension. Not easy to muscle release that particular area. Okay. And then gently back up into your 4-point kneeling. Okay, guys, we're just going to push back into child's pose. So I'm going to ease your bottoms back towards your heels. Take whatever child's pose is comfortable for you for a moment. And take a couple of breaths here. Okay, so the next piece we're going to do is going to call on your innovation of your internal core muscles, okay? I like to call it my treacle hands particular move, okay? So there are going to be 3 moving parts, 3 moving body parts. I'd like you all to start in your chosen child's pose position. Now, this might be with your bottom lifted, that is fine. It might be with your bottom down, that is also fine. I don't mind where your bottom is, but I'd like you to make sure you start with your arms straight, okay? So your elbows aren't down on the mat to begin with. So find that child pose position. And notice how when you're in this position here, you've got that sense of stretch under the armpits, okay? So you're feeling that stretch underneath the armpit area a little. Now, I'd like you to start thinking with your right hand. We're going to slide the right hand forwards, and your left elbow, just as you did a moment ago, is going to plop down onto the mat, and your right hand is going to slide forwards, okay? So it's your body moving and your hand slides forwards, and you keep on going until you feel like you're kind of at that maximum stretch, really. Any further and you probably plop down onto your tummy, okay? So that's your maximum range. Your left elbow is now going to dig into the mat. You're going to pull with all your internal core knowledge. You're going to pull your right hand back like it's stuck in treacle, and you're dragging, literally having to drag that hand back to your start position. Lift your left elbow and you're back into your lovely child's pose. So we're going to do that repeatedly on the same time. Right hand forwards, left elbow down. Your body comes forward, sliding forwards. Your head starting to come over towards the top of your left hand, I should think. Looking down towards your left hand, you get to your maximum range. Feel that stretch. Breathe in, dig into your left elbow and drag your right arm back to your child's pose position, elevating your elbows in child's pose. One more time. Let's see how we're getting on. One more time. Right hand sliding forwards, bottom lifting, the whole body shunts forwards. So you're at that end of range, that point where you think, if I go any further, I'm going to fall over, and then drag yourself back and elevating both elbows off the mat. Gorgeous. Now we're taking our left hand forward, okay? So square yourself up, left hand forwards, left moving, right elbow down, keep going, feel that stretch under the left armpit, left side of the body, fantastic. And then drag yourself back, like the core's pulling in, the rib cage is pulling down, everything is pulling you back into your start position. One more time there on the left. Left arm forwards, right elbow down, all the way, maybe even a little bit further this time. Breathing in, dig into your right elbow, exhale, pull back, 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 back. And then into your elbows elevated. Well done. And we are there. Gorgeous. Well done. Okay, so guys, from here, we're going to come into 4-point kneeling. So elevate your bottoms, place your hands underneath your shoulders, find your 4-point kneeling. All righty. Check you've got your shins down for me. Okay, so make sure those lower limbs aren't hovering up in space. Shoulder blades back and down and pull in that lovely belly to spine. Okay. Now we're going to just take ourselves into what I call my launch position. So currently you're probably, or you should be, shoulders over wrists. I would like you to think now that perhaps you're going to pull your shoulders so they're settling a little bit more over your fingertips. Okay, so that's a way of bringing your eye line in front of those fingertips there. All right, so you're going to be looking now down to the floor. You'll want your nose to imagine it's in a baby elevator, okay, a little tiny lift. We're going to have these starting up there on the 10th floor. We're going to head down towards the mat, down the elevator, and you can choose where you want to stop at. Maybe it's the 8th floor. Maybe you're heading to the 5th floor. Maybe all the way to the ground floor. I don't know. But then you're going to come back up that elevator shaft, and you have to stay in the elevator shaft until you get to your top floor, and then you breathe in and start again. Exhale, down you go. Mindful that you're not stretching the front of your throat space. Okay, that happens quite a lot. We stretch the chin to get to the floor. That is not what we're trying to do. Think and send your thoughts towards under your armpit area, around underneath these shoulder blades you mobilized so beautifully at the beginning of the class. Think about those shoulder blades now being the strong powerhouse here, pulling down with those armpits towards the rib cage. Okay, staying in the elevator shaft is the tricky bit, but that is the rub that makes this really, really effective. Staying forwards of those arms, hands, last time, last one. And then gently, when you're ready, easing your bottom back towards your heels for a nice self-congratulatory release. Okay, if you want to take any wrist rotations, go ahead here, because it is a bit more intense with your body weight forwards. We won't be doing another set though. That's just our final set of push-ups, so you'll be pleased to hear that. Okay, however, we aren't doing another set of push-ups because we are going to move into reverse plank. We need to swing our legs around the other way towards the other end of the mat. You can either do that by swinging the legs towards the side underneath you, or cross over your ankles, sit over your ankles and legs there, and your feet will then come out underneath you towards the end of the mat. Sitting towards the middle of the mat, our hands are either placed behind us and facing our fingertips towards our buttocks, or you can go ahead as we did last time and have your hands out towards the side of the mat. Or if that's not for you, you can pop your hands facing the other way. That is fine. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put my arms facing towards my bottom. Now, we did some lovely work last term on our chest opening. So I want you to think back to this position where we were thinking of really opening out, pushing our heart space through between the humerus bones there, forwards towards the toe end of your mat. Toes are neighbors. If you find you're cramping, just lift those toes towards the sky, and then the balls of the feet can be neighbors. Okay, that can be your connection. We are going to think about this lovely upper body growing. Find the space in the spine. You're going to breathe in and exhale as you lift your hips towards the ceiling, and let the gaze come just up to about 45 degrees. Please don't throw the head backwards. As you come down, be mindful these arms stay straight, the spine stays straight, and you just gently feather touch onto the mat where you breathe in, exhale, and start again, lifting the hips to the sky. As you come back down, as gently as possible, touching the floor, breathing in, exhale, keeping some space between those shoulders, okay? And try not to curve and lose the spine control, okay? So not looking to dump down into that shoulder region as I'm showing you now. Stay nice and tall. We've got 2 more. Pressing the toes towards the floor if you can, okay, and it doesn't cause any cramping. Our last one, lifting, pressing the toes down, and float with control down, down, down onto the mat. Okay, just gently bring yourself forward and give your arms and legs a bit of a moment. Okay, that is a huge piece for all of us, so well done. We're coming on to side lying now. So our side bend sequence this morning. Elbows under your shoulder. Okay, do a little double check for yourself there. Okay, sometimes the elbow can be a little bit further out. I want you to make sure you've not got this angle going on here. Elbows under shoulder, palm is down and towards the front edge of your mat. Feet, you have loads and loads of choices. There's so many options. We're going to have our starting position being in tightrope. Okay, so I'm going to show you now. You've got both feet flexed, one in front of the other like they're in a queue, and those are on the mat, yes? If you feel like you know this shoulder is not a happy friend of yours, okay, particularly this morning, then you can definitely bend your lower leg at 90 degrees, all right? And when we go into side bend, you can use that knee to lift as opposed to just putting all the weight into the feet, yes? Less weight in the shoulder. Even better, if it's a shoulder that's not happy with you this morning, you can bring both knees towards the front and you can go ahead and do a gentle lift, so you don't have to lift very high. It might even only be a small centimeter. Okay, so please bear those in mind. Okay, so guys, our top hand is just resting on the hip. Try and think about these shoulders being square, so you're not rotating out either backwards or forwards. Lift the ribs just ever so slightly to begin with, so we just make sure we start off correctly. When you come down, this is the position you head to. We don't dump down and then start again here. This is the start position. When you're ready, we're going to breathe in, exhale, and imagining a lovely rope pulling you from that top hip towards the ceiling, okay? And come back down. Just gently kissing onto the mat. Again, the trick is not dumping down onto the mat in between. You just lift and lower. Don't drop the rib cage. Nice and steady with that rib cage. And down. Last one. And down, and pause for a second. Okay, well done. Our arm is now coming to our side, so the palm is facing towards me. Just go ahead and pull the shoulder blades back and down a little bit and feel the length through the neck. Yes, it's almost as if you're trying to pop your head towards the other side of the room. If you need to modify here, go ahead and bend that lower knee. Take any of those levels I said. When you're ready, we're going to breathe in, exhale, lifting into side bend and continuing our arm over towards the wall behind, towards our side, and then back down. And gently, gently, gently touching onto the floor. Breathe in. Neck and ear staying away from that lower shoulder, please, as much as you possibly can, keeping that space there. And down with a gentle kiss. Breathe in. 2 more. Exhale up. Reaching into arc. Hand as much over your head, okay? Not in front of your face if you can. Just keeps us in alignment. And up. And release back down. Gorgeous. Well done. Everybody now just gently taking your lower leg and bending it at 90. Okay, so we are going to all be supportive for this next piece. You can choose, however, if you find your shoulders getting a bit uncomfortable, just static hold where you are now. We're all going to come into javelin. And if you're not lifting your hips, you can do thread the needle with your bottom staying nicely down on the mat. Alternatively, we're going to head up into our side bend hold. So we're going to lift into our side bend. We're in javelin arm. We've got a nice long neck with a breath in and a grow through your fingertips. Exhale, thread the needle, sending that javelin arm under your armpit towards the mat, looking behind you as you go. Up with our javelin arm, breathing in. Exhale and underneath. As I say, anytime you can pop this hip back down onto the mat. You don't need to be elevated. Last 2, or rest out there if you want to. And final one, breathing in, grow tall, exhale, underneath. And then gently, when you finish this last time, easing yourself down with control onto the mat. Well done. We're going to head onto our tummies, guys. So roll over into your tummy for a little mini break before we head onto the other side. Our arms are at T, so they're going to be out to your sides, and palms are down on the floor. Okay, so your palm is down, and the hand and the elbow is at the same height as your shoulder. Forehead down, take any glasses off if you want to. If you want to pop a cushion under your forehead, please do. Try not to bury yourself in a massive cushion, because actually that ends up with you crunching the back of the neck, but just literally trying to give your nose some space, okay? All righty, legs are just neighbors. They don't need to be too close. They can just hang out there for a moment. And both arms are out to your sides. With a breath in, exhale, and just find your core, find your zip and hollow for me. So no movement apart from making sure you remember that as you exhale, you bring in your tummy and bring up the pelvic floor. Okay, so make that happen. Breathe in, exhale, zipping and hollowing. With your next exhale, we're going to lift the palms of your hands off the mat, lifting your straight arm by your side. So it's coming up at a T and then down as a T. Okay, so just simply palm lift, breathe in, exhale, palm lift,
you come down, we breathe in. As we lift, we exhale. So feel the length of the arms. Try not to bend at the elbow. Feel that this is coming from the back of that shoulder joint. Okay, the shoulder blade is slightly lifting and rolling in towards the other one or the middle section of your spine where they meet-ish. Try not to be tempted to pull them down. Okay, we're not looking to pull the arms down towards the direction of the hips. You're staying in parallel with the shoulders as you lift. Exhale, tummy and core in. Really think about them happening together. Exhale, tummy in, pelvic floor, arm lift, and down and pause for a second. Pausing there. Okay, so we're going to add on. As we lift this next time, we're going to pause and then send our hand down, either side of us, down towards our hip or thighs. So your little finger is going to squeeze up towards the fleshy part of your buttocks, palms face down still. Okay, so when you're ready, breathe in. Exhale, float your palm off the mat. Send the palm and hand down towards the side of your bottom or thigh, little finger pulling in, and then back up into T and down on the floor. Breath in. Exhale, lifting down towards your thighs with a breath in. Exhale, bring them back and onto the mat. Breathe in. Feel the squeeze as you really pull that little finger in by your side. You're reaching the arm nice and long, all the way through the fingertips, wrist and elbow. Pull, 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 squeeze in with your armpit. And that's our last one here, guys. Finishing off after this one. And then when you are finished, popping your hands towards your shoulder area, tuck your toes under. Gently push back into a mini child's pose. Not going to hang out here long. We're going to do our side bend sequence on the other side. So just take one little breath. Counter pose being on the front by stretching the spine, and then bring yourself into side lying on the other side. So rotate to the other end of your mat, elbow under your shoulder. Okay, again, finding your foot position of choice. All right, it may well be a different kettle of fish on this side. Okay, so just be mindful that this shoulder might not be quite so functional as the other one, or vice versa. Feet in parallel, or bend that lower leg out towards the back of you. Find that little tiny mini lift, okay, from under the rib cage. Let's go ahead and activate underneath those oblique muscles underneath us. Top hand just resting on the hip to begin with, so we can make sure we find our comfortable zone. Breathe in, exhale into your side bend. We're lifting the hips towards the ceiling, and then come back down gently. Okay, so again, it's a nice gentle touch. We don't dump down into the shoulder and sink the spine. We're going to think about always being theoretically as light as possible in our movement. As you lift, perhaps that sense of almost diving the skull up and over the humerus bone here. Pausing this time down, hand coming to the side, palm facing forward. Just draw the shoulder blades back and down a little bit and lengthen the neck. You might even feel that stretch from the base of the abdomen area too as you do this. Breathe in and then exhale and lift with the hip and arm comes over into arc. Reaching and lifting with the rib cage and the armpit as well. Sweep down with a gentle kiss onto the mat. Breathe in, pressing away that shoulder from the ear underneath you there. That's good, well done. We've just got two more. Modify at any point with those legs. Remember, you can even bring both knees towards the front of you into 45 degrees towards the front as your nice, slightly lighter option. And pausing this time, gently floating down, down, down onto the mat. Everyone now bending the lower leg so we can come into our side bend hold. If you would rather stay on the mat, of course you can. Otherwise, we're going to elevate into our side bend hold, supported with that lower leg bent and up into javelin. Again, grow nice and long through the spine, lift through the fingertips with the breath in, exhale, threading the needle, follow the hand with your gaze if you wish, underneath you, and then back into javelin, breathe in, grow tall through the spine, lengthen, 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 and exhale. Remember, every time we're rotating, we need the space in the spine to be able to get a better rotation, okay? So it's important to still think the spine is long, even if we're side lying. And final time if you can, or have a little mini rest if you wish, or pop that bottom down for the last one, totally up to you.
And then gently, when you finish this last one, easing the bottom down onto the mat. Well done. Onto your tummies again. So we're at this end of the mat. And again, another piece for our arms. This time our palms are by our sides and your palm is faced up. Thumbs are by your thighs and legs are perhaps a little bit closer together. Again, glasses will need to be off. If you're down on the mat, you can put something under your forehead, but try not to squish your whole face. All righty, so think long dart-like thoughts here, guys, from the crown of the head to your toes. And we're going to breathe in and exhale and find again that tummy lift towards the spine and the pelvic floor area drawing in. Any work we do on our front, of course, we need to find that center to support the lower back. So get into the shape and get into the practice. Breathe in, exhale, tummy in, pelvic floor strong. On the next time you activate your floor and your core, I want you to lift the palms of your hands up towards the ceiling and feel the stretch of your fingertips towards the end of the mat. Lowering the knuckles to the floor, you breathe in. Exhale, pressing the palms. Trying not to lift with the fingertips towards the sky. It's the whole of the arm as if it's a flat piece of wood. You're breathing in and exhaling and lifting it from the shoulder joint, not the wrists, not the elbows, and down. In case we're not doing it, remember as you lift the tummies in, the pelvic floor is up. All those pieces happening together. And last one. Rest the arms by your sides, and you have a choice here for a second, okay? Our second set will add in the upper body lift. As you lift the arms, when you're ready, we're going to be bringing the forehead off. You're not looking towards the other side of the room. Your forehead stays down towards the mat, okay? So it's about lengthening the spine and reaching the arms to your feet. So when you're ready, if you haven't started already, you're breathing in, exhale, palms lifting, forehead lifting, or go ahead and leave out the upper body if your lower back is not feeling it today. Okay, breathing in, exhale. Of course, your degree of lift, that is your modification. So you might feel like you want to do just a 1 centimeter lift or so. You might be able to lift a little bit higher. And down. Imagining a little person behind you there, maybe pulling on your fingertips, lifting you that extra millimeter, but be safe, be careful. Last one, breathe in. And we're going to hold. So find a hold position that's comfortable for you. The head may not be lifted at all. That is fine, because what we're going to do is with our hands high, we're going to take our thoughts to our thumbs and pulse the thumbs towards each other. They should be heading either towards the side of your thighs or just skimming over your buttocks. The arms are straight and you're just going to pulse, 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 pulse for 8, 7, 6, thumbs towards each other to the center of your body. 2, 1, and release everything back down, down, down onto the mat. Okay, so guys, pop your hands by your shoulders, tuck your toes under. Again, we're going to lever over into a child's pose position. Slowly does it, melting the bottom towards your heels. Pop any cushions you want to under your bottom or your forehead or your knees. And just breathe into that back space. Breathe deeply into your shoulder blade area. Feel the shoulder blades moving and responding to that breath, or basically the lungs expanding, obviously. But also then the response will also be down the spine as you breathe in, pushing the ribs and lungs out, stretching also that lower area of your back. All interrelated. Magical stuff. Okay, guys, from here we're going to sweep our legs in front of us. So again, you can either cross your feet or just swing them to your sides, and we're going to be lying down. Okay, so find yourself in the middle of your mat area-ish, hands down by your sides, and heels are nicely snug up towards your bottoms. Okay, again, just as we did in the outset, be mindful of these feet being kind of in parallel to your knees. All righty, so it's not feet wide, knees towards each other. You're finding that alignment, that connection between the feet, the knees, and the hips. Hands are by your sides, and I want you to go ahead and just feel the back of your upper arm, if you can, and your back allows you to. Feel the sense of pressing that upper back of your arm into the mat, as also you try and press down through the elbow and the palm of the hands. Again, these arms are like pieces of wood. They are little stabilizers, and they're glued down into the floor to the point where they're almost trying to make a little divot or indent either side of you. From here, we're going to take the thoughts towards the soles of our feet. Go ahead and imagine two little triangles in each foot. You've got the heel is the one point of the triangle, your big toe is the other, and then the little toe is your third corner of a triangle. Each time every time you think about the soles of the feet, imagining it that way, make sure you get the whole of the foot connected on the floor. From here, we're going to think of another triangle, which is our pubic bone and two hip bones. Currently, perhaps they're feeling fairly neutral. You might have a space in the lower back, and they're pretty much the same height as each other. I want you now to tilt the pelvis so your pubic bone comes higher than the two hip bones. Okay, so you've got that angle running here, and you'll feel yourself dumping into your imprint in that lower back. Just feel and embrace that lovely sense of opening into the mat. And then lift into your neutral position where your hips and your pubic bone are parallel. Breathe in, exhale, lower the hip bones, lift the pubic bone and dump into your lower back into imprint. And back. So for all intents and purposes, we're just pelvic tilting. But I wonder if you're still remembering to energize those arms into the mat. Okay, maybe they've been forgotten now. We're now thinking about the pelvis. Have you maybe forgotten the sense of all your feet being connected as well into the floor? Try and get that brain to not forget to do one thing as soon as you skip onto something else. Once you've gone into imprint this next time and the pubic bone is higher than the hip bones, continue the journey by lifting your pelvis off the floor altogether so that you're just bottom floating and you're probably resting on that lower rib-ish area. Imagine now a little press into the belly button as you just start to let the lower vertebrae come down under the belly button, then down, working through the lumbar spine down to the big L1 chunky guy at the bottom and into your neutral level pelvis position. Again, lift the pubic bone, press into your lower spine. Lifting the pubic bone now. Once you're in your lifted position, remember to push your kneecaps away from your throat space. Yes, stretch the thigh bone out of the hip socket. Again, press down into the belly button, work down this lumbar spine. This is the harder bit to get into, which is why we're just isolating it this morning here. One more time, lifting the pubic bone, press into the arms and feet, lift up into your bottom rib cage area, push the kneecaps away from you, stretching the thigh bones. And now we're going to go into our easier part of the lift, which is thoracic, starting to lift the ribs now off the mat one at a time, peeling up now towards that shoulder blade area. Now, just like we did with the reverse plank, you can almost feel like that chest is pushing through these arms. Okay, this is where we start to feel we increase our range of movement over time. Now we're going to release back down gently onto the mat, peeling down one vertebrae at a time. And when you get to that lower point, rolling into neutral pelvis, where your hips and spine and pubic bone are parallel. Off we go again, pubic bone lift into the lower part of your spine, onto the ribs, lifting the ribs up onto the shoulder blades and pausing here. Great. Okay, press into those arms. All righty, lengthen the kneecaps away from you, lift your right heel, press into the left sole of the foot, keep that pelvis nice and stable as you lift into your right marching tabletop leg. Okay, use those arms, guys, use the arms, press down with the foot onto the floor, lift your left leg into a march and keep switching. Okay, so I know that you know this marching piece, so I want you to take your thoughts towards these arms. Really think about there being your stabilizers either side of you, your foundation. And that takes a lot of weight off the lower back and indeed the hamstrings if you're a bit crampy. If you can, we're going to modify this into a single leg extension instead of the marching leg, reaching one leg to the sky, place it back down, single leg to the sky and down. Again, using those arms almost like you're trying to create as much weightlessness in your body as possible. And this next time you elevate your right leg towards the ceiling, I want you just to pause there. If you're feeling this is too much in your lower back, you're more than welcome now to lower the bottom back down because we can do our leg work even with the bottom down, okay? So I don't mind. Flex your foot so your foot is in at a right angle. And we're going to pull down with the heel, by which I mean keep pulling your toes towards your kneecap and pull your heel away from you so your leg's nice and long. Hover above the mat, go into point. Lift the toe to the ceiling, and then you flex at a right angle. Pull the heel down, toenails pulling towards your kneecap, and then into point towards the sky. 2 more. Pull down in flexion and up in point. Pull down in flexion and up in point, pausing with your leg towards the sky in point. There we go. Let's head down in point and up in flexion. Down in point, up in flexion, down in point, up in flexion, and place your leg back down. Now we're going to take our arms overhead. So let's give them a little tiny mini break. Interlace the fingers, turn the palms away from your crown of the head, and go ahead and dig into your feet. Press into the balls of your feet. And you'll feel your shoulder blades almost shunting into the mat there. Now I want you to keep that press as you start to articulate the spine. Don't forget that pubic bone needs to be lifted nice and high, pressing down each vertebrae. Keep the pubic bone lifting higher than the hip bones until the very last minute, where you roll into your neutral pelvis position, neutral spine, arms overhead, and place them back on the mat. Check your feet are still up towards your bottom. We're going to hinge straight up into our bridge. Go ahead, up with the hips towards the sky, and step and stand into these arms. Lifting your left leg now into a single straight leg towards the ceiling, flexion at the foot. Standing on the ceiling there, we're going to pull the toes towards your knees and pull the heel away from you and down into hover above the mat, into point to the sky, and flexion to the mat. And point to the sky, and flexion to the mat, and point and hold, this time to the sky. Pointing now down towards the end of the mat there. Reach that leg, flexion, pull up with the sole of the foot. Reach long with your point to the floor, and flexion up, and point to the floor, and flexion up. Placing that foot back down onto the mat. One more time, arms overhead, interlace the fingers, press those hands away. Push into the soles of the feet, lift the pubic bone nice and high, and then start the commenced roll down the peel of the spine, the release one vertebrae at a time into neutral, hands overhead. Gorgeous, well done. Go ahead and bring your knees into your chest, have a little bit of roll from side to side. And as I've mentioned a couple of times before, this is lovely for getting that base of the spine area right down the lumbar spine. If you bring your knees and nose closer together, lifting your upper body, then you can kind of roll around the mid spine area. Okay, and that's also quite a nice little roll and release. Okay, so guys, we're going to bring ourselves over into our 4-point kneeling. So I'm going to get you to just place your feet down, roll your knees towards the side and over into 4-point kneeling. So bring yourselves a little bit closer towards the front edge of the mat, not necessarily right at the end, but just towards the front. Okay, so in 4-point kneeling. Okay, so we know our 4-point kneeling setup. Neck is long, tummy is in. We did our press up work before where we were forwards and in our little launch position. What we're now going to do is slightly different. We're going to bring our hands, one hand span forwards. Okay. And now I want you to bring your shoulders to be over your wrists. Okay. So again, shoulders over wrists like you would do in 4-point kneeling. Now, what we're trying to do is just keep the the bottom in alignment with the spine. I don't want you to dump the bottom down towards the floor. Okay. So belly is still in. Looking down towards those fingertips. Pull in your tummy. Pull up your pelvic floor and feel the connection of the lower limbs and your legs on the mat. Then everything is engaged. Breathe in, exhale, and float your left hand off the floor and place it back down. Breathe in, exhale, float your right hand off the floor and back down. So I'm going to ask you whether you feel your shoulders are staying over your wrists, or do you, when you lift your hand, send your bum back to the feet. Okay, you need to keep those shoulders over the wrists as you float these hands. We can take this slightly higher, or a small change is just to touch the opposite hand to shoulder. Okay, and I want you to be noticing and mindful of the shift of dynamic that goes on
across your oblique muscles, through that waist section, through the pelvis and the top of the femur at the thigh bone area. As you shift from side to side, the diagonal conversation between the shoulder and the hip joint via your torso is switching one side to the other. Okay, now pausing here, I'm going to pop back into child's pose for a moment, just gently to take the weight off the wrists before we do a second set. Okay, so again, breathe here, wrist rotations if you need to. Okay, so as I say, we're going to do a second set. If you're finding this is getting a bit much into your wrists, okay, you're more than welcome to do this piece in 4-point kneeling. All the same energies are there. You're still strong with the core, and you're still going to be shifting from side to side. So you've still got those diagonal messages happening. If you want to do the same as we've done before, just head forward with the hands. Our hands are directly under our shoulders. Can't say that enough. If you'd like to take it up a level, go ahead, and we're going to find our plank position by sending your left leg or your right leg outwards towards the back. Okay, bottoms are level. They're not here. Okay, that is not a plank. All righty. Looking down is just in front of the hands, and I would like you to widen the legs so they're roughly inside the corners of the mat. If you're here, you're going to start with your left arm going to the right shoulder and back. And we're going to switch now, touching opposite hand to shoulder for our second set. Choosing the level you wish. Okay, trying to control and notice the diagonal conversations going on through the middle of the body. We've got 4 more. And 3. And 2. Last one. And if your knees aren't down already, pop the knees down and gently back into child's pose. Weight off those wrists one more time. Okay, so we're going to finish with a lovely mobilizer for the shoulder. So I'd like you to roll onto your sides, facing forwards. If you have a cushion handy, you want to put it under your ear, you're more than welcome. Our hands are forward, so we're palm on palm like crocodiles, and our knees are bent towards the front, not necessarily tucked up to your tummy, but just comfortably around about 45 degrees. Okay. So even when we're lying down like this, as I said before, when we're doing our side bend legged eagle, you want to think about optimizing the length of the spine. So as you breathe in, try and imagine yourself growing nice and long from the tailbone here all the way up to the crown of the head. So here we are breathing in. I want you to lift your top hand so it's off to about shoulder height. Okay, then I'm going to ask you to rotate that top hand so that your thumb heads down towards the floor and your little finger is now at the same direction as the top of your head. Now you're going to sweep this arm up towards your temple. And I should have said before, your hips are staying perfectly stacked, so don't let the hips come with you. As the arm comes behind you, your gaze can come behind you, but keep that top hip facing forwards so that it doesn't roll back with you. Okay, that is super important. When you stop with your hand to the front, breathe in, rotate the arm, and away we go. Now there's no rush here, please, folks. I want you to think that each time you head round in your circle, you're maybe trying to grow that spine a little bit more. You're trying to maybe rotate the rib cage a bit more. You're trying to make the circle even bigger, but without joining in that hip. Don't let it come with you. Use the spine. We've got one more time. Pause, reset. Each 360 is its own piece. And then come back to the start position and pause here. Okay, so folks, we're going to head to the other side. You're more than welcome to just turn over so you're facing away on the other side of your mat, okay? Or you can flip yourself around if you particularly feel you want to face forward still. It's totally up to you. Okay. Alrighty, so once you're set, facing forwards again, find that space in the spine. So grow, feel the length through the abdomen, all the way to the top of the head. Hands palm on palm. Lifting your hand to shoulder height, rotating the thumb down so your little finger is now towards the top of your head. Breathe in, exhale, setting the hips so they are stacked one on top of the other. Send the hand behind you. Follow the hand with your gaze as it sweeps over your thigh. Come back to your first position where you start with a breath in. Exhale, rotation of the palm towards the ceiling. Up you go with the fingertip, sweeping over. Feel the rib cage rotation. Feel the rotation, especially through that lumbar spine. Okay, well done. You've got 2 more. Breathing in. Exhale, grow. Make the circle even bigger if you can.
Well done. Last time, breath in, grow tall. Find the soft tissue between the vertebrae. Let them stretch and reach. Mobilizing, stretching. Well done. And pause there. Gorgeous. Okay, so from here, we're just going to roll onto our backs. Okay, gently with our knees up towards the ceiling. Okay, well done. Taking the knees out towards the side of us, just place your hands into froggy legs position. Place your hands onto the belly part, the fleshy part under your belly button, and just take 2 lovely, deep, relaxing breaths in. Send that breath wherever it wants to go, and exhale. Well done. Just gently supporting underneath the thighs, bring the knees up towards the ceiling. We're going to roll the knees over towards our side, and we're going to come into 4-point kneeling. Okay, so from here, we're going to do a gentle cat stretch and cow stretch. So gently bringing your spine now up towards the ceiling, lifting the back of that spine up towards the ceiling, chin into your throat space, look down towards your tummy button area. Press into your shins if you can, just to get a bit more purchase. And then we're going to allow the tummy to head down towards the mat, lifting your gaze up now, stretching from the throat space all the way via the belly button to the front of the pubic symphysis. Breathe in, exhale up into cat. Broadening the shoulder blades left to right, pressing into the shins. And breathe in, exhale, sinking the belly to the mat. And pushing your tailbone away, pubic bone away. Come into neutral, step your hands slightly forwards and tuck your toes under. We're going to push up into a V stretch to finish. So gently engaging now by lifting your knees up into V stretch. Sinking your head between the elbows again, pull the shoulder blades back and down. Lift up onto those little toes. Okay, and push the pubic bone away from you. Stretch between the hamstrings and the glutes. Enjoy this stretch. If you want to just do one little add-on, we're going to lift our right leg up towards the ceiling. And go ahead and reach that leg out behind you, but keep the right hip facing towards the mat, okay? Try not to open the pelvis to the side if you can. Place that foot back down, breathing in, switching to the left side of a big old stretch through the front of the hip flexors, reaching, stretching, left hip pressing down, and then place your foot back down. Let the heels just relax, let the knees soften. We're going to just walk, small little inch walking with the hands back towards the toes, inch by inch. As the heels come down onto the floor, bring in the tummy button and the pelvic floor area just to make sure that you've moved your control center away from the arms into your body, and then restack your spine vertebrae by vertebrae and bring yourselves back into the center of the mat. Well done. Okay. From here, just gently lifting your arms into a double arm float for me. Let's breathe in, lifting the arms sky high. Turn the palms away, press through that air, grow the crown of the head. And we're going to do that one more time just to reset. Breathe in, lifting the arms. Exhale, sweep those shoulder blades back and down. Draw in through the core pelvic floors and then pause for a second. Close your eyes if you wish, breathing in through the nose. And exhale. Let's go ahead and find about 60% of your energy in the heels of your feet. So allow yourself to just feel secure under the heels. 40% of that weight is through the ball of the foot. Breathe in. Exhale, zip and hollow. Allowing yourself to sink everything down towards the soles of the feet, nice and secure. As you're exhaling, bringing in the tummy and the pelvic floor, feeling super strong. One more breath in. Grow tall, exhale, zip and hollow, open your eyes, and we are done. Well done. Thank you very much. Well done, everybody. Lovely work. Well done for making it through week 1. 6 of the way through. Well done, Sushi. 5 to go. Great stuff. So thanks, folks, very much. If I'm seeing you on a recording, I will see you either again on a recording or I will see you in the studio next week. So take care. Well done. Be safe, and we will see you all soon. Bye for now. Bye.